Welcome to the Cook-Up, brought to you with the kind compliments of CGA Caribbean. I am your host, Sunny Bling, and today we're dealing with pastries. So we have with us our Marigold and Prize, and we have a special guest that I would like to introduce. Let's welcome pastry chef Kathryn and Landa. Thank you so much for joining us on the Cook-Up. How you going?
Hi, everybody.
Now, I know this lady a very, very long time. We're talking Trinidad and Tobago Hospitality Institute, long time. Don't worry the year, but here all going on. How you doing, pastry chef?
I'm living well, happy to put on a couple pounds and be here.
Hey, I like the way you said that. So tell us, what are we baking today?
Today we're going to be doing a particular type of pastry that you can use for many things. And the two things I'm going to show you all with this pastry is quiche and fruit tarts.
All right, so we have with us today our Marigold and our Prize. And how do you incorporate these two items into your baking?
Well, right. Prize is more for texture because it doesn't have a real strong flavor in and of itself. And then Marigold is what's going to hit you with the flavor. Some people like to use some or none. I prefer to use a little bit of both. So that gives you texture as well as flavor.
So let me not keep you back. Let me give you like a little more room and let's get started. What do we do?
All right, well, we will get to that now in the back behind here. All right, Sunny, so what we're going to do is we're going to make our pastry in the food processor. We're going to put our flour first. Then our salt. This is just 1 teaspoon of salt. Some people like to add sugar, which is okay, but for what we want to do, because this is going to be a multi-purpose dough, it's not necessary. Then we're going to add our fat. Now our fat is chilled. It was in the freezer, it was cubed and placed in the freezer. This helps it to distribute in the pastry but still remains somewhat separated. So we pulse until it looks like coarse cornmeal. All right, so you could add the water while it's in the mixer, but this gives you more control.
Yeah.
So you can see how much water you put in, how it's mixing and stuff like that. Some of our balls of fat are still a little bit big, so you can use your finger and just kind of slightly incorporate them. Now the bigger the chunks, the more flakiness you will have, but you don't want to overdo the dough. Now we are going to add half a cup of cold water. Ice water is best. Right?
You like drizzle in one spot, or you like all over?
I will move the bowl to suit you. Right? So as you go, you don't want to overdo it with the water, because anytime you overdo it, that makes your pastry tough. So let's pause for a second. Right?
Too much water makes it tough?
Yes, because then it helps with gluten production, and it's sticky and it's messy and it's pain in the.
Oh wow. So is it enough or a little more?
We're going to see now, because what affects this now is weather conditions as well as the type of flour that you have. Because a lot of people don't know. You think you buy the same bag of flour, same brand, and it's the same flour, but every time it's different, depending on the quality of the flour that you get. So you see, you're going to try to pull your pastry together like this. Once it holds, you're good. But seeing that ours still crumbling, we can add the rest of the water now.
Papa laps.
Right.
I'll hold back some.
So just in case, just in case. Because like medicine, every little bit counts with water.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. This is the Cook-Up, y'all. Don't forget to follow us online. That's right. Check out CGA Caribbean on Instagram. Check us out on Facebook. Follow the Cook-Up. Like, share, tell your friends and family about it. If you're like me, I'm not a real big pastry man. I don't really like baking that much. I wouldn't lie, but
you like to eat it.
That's right. You best believe it. So you need to learn about it. Here we go.
So what we're going to do is take half of this pastry. We're going to put it in right now. Keep pulling it together. I know it looks crumbly, but please do not panic. It is better that you're on the drier side than on the wet side, because on the dry, like I said, you can always add, but you can't take out the water. So what you're going to do is you're going to gather and just keep pressing it together. You're not kneading. Kneading is for bread. When you see you're doing bread, pizzas, all those kinds of things, kneading is great. But for pastry, try as much as possible not to knead. So you see, as you pull the cling together, everything is kind of fusing, and you're seeing all your nice little pieces of Prize and Marigold and everything in there. That's what you're looking for. So this is what we're going to have 2 of these. Now this recipe for the dough will give you 2 sets of pastry. You can make 2 9-inch pies. If you're going to make a pie with a top like an apple pie or something like that, then this would only make 1 of those pies.
All right, so we've had our dough in the fridge for just about an hour.
Right.
I saw you had it all sitting for a few minutes. Where do we go now? Because I have my rolling pin. Is it rolling time?
Yes, it is rolling time. Now there are rules. with everything. There are rules when rolling, when refrigerating, everything. Put it in the fridge for the hour just so everything can come together. The flour can absorb the water without forming gluten. Then take it out for 5 minutes. Once it's soft enough for us to roll properly without breaking, then we can start to roll. Right, so what we're going to do is we're going to put a bit of flour to make sure we don't stick. And how you're going to roll is you're going to try to roll from the center outwards. And you try not to press at the edges. What we're going to do is we're going to roll out from the center. Now you see, even as I try to warm it up, I will get some cracks. That's not a problem. You can always pinch them together. So what we're going to do is roll, turn, and if you see like stickage, just rub a little flour, drop it back down. Now, as much as we want to keep this from sticking, we don't want to overdo it with the flour, because the more flour that you add to this, it's going to get tough. We're going to roll, and we're going to continue rolling until we get to about 13 inches, which will be the size of our pie plates.
All right, so we all rolled out.
Right.
We're looking good, nice and thin, no sort of breakage and all that good stuff. Where do we go next?
All right, we're going into our pie dish. Lift our pastry carefully. People like to roll it over the rolling pin. All that is unnecessary to me. And we're going to put it in. Now, when you're trying to get this inside of here, what you're going to do is you're going to lift and put. Because if you try to just drag it down, you're going to be stretching your pastry. And what's going to happen is when it bakes, it's just going to shrink. Right, so we're going to trim our edge. We're just going to clean our edge. You do not throw this away. You take it and you layer it like this. You do not knead it like bread. Cling wrap, put it in the fridge, and you can go ahead and use this again in about 15 minutes while it's resting. So now that we are here with our pastry, we're going to bake it bland. In order to do that, we're going to take some parchment, you just crumple it up. That makes it more malleable to put inside of here. And then we're going to fill this up with rice.
All right.
So this is dump them in.
This is not a rice pie, okay, guys?
Not a rice
Do not,
pie.
in case you're just joining us, go back to the top of this episode.
It's going into the oven and we'll see it in about 20 minutes.
So, our dough is in the oven. Now it's time for us to make our filling.
Right, so what we're going to do is we're going to saute some vegetables down. Now, you can change this up however you want, right? So if you have spinach or anything like that, you can use that. So we're just going to need about a tablespoon of our marigold. Alright, so we're going to saute. We're putting in our onions first, our pimentos, and this is about a cup of carrots. And we're going to just cook this down, let it sweat out. The point of this is not only to cook the vegetables, but to get some of the liquid out, to dry it out a little bit. We're going to leave these to cook down until the onion is translucent. We're going to add our broccoli. Now the broccoli is cut really small. I prefer this way because when you cut into your quiche, it makes for a better presentation. So once again, we're going to just let this cook down and soften as well as dry out. Alright, so now that we are cooked through, and we're nice and dry, you're not seeing any sort of moisture in the bottom of the pan. We're going to put this aside to cool while we work on our custard.
So it's time for us to do our custard filling that is going to go with our quiche, yes?
Correct.
Where are we going first?
Alright, so hit me with the eggs. Correction, put the eggs in the bowl.
Yeah, because
Put
I
the
was
eggs in
saying,
the
Dan,
bowl.
you're going to get so upset
So
with
we
me.
have 4 whole eggs. Just give them a quick little whisk. Add your milk.
Milk. All of it?
Yes, sir. At every step of this quiche, we're going to season. So we're going to add a little bit of salt, a little bit of black pepper. Yes, you're adding your Parmesan cheese.
Oh, okay.
And just dump them in. Your Parmesan cheese and half of your cheddar cheese. Alright, so we're going to take this out. It's been in here for about 15 minutes.
The rice pie?
Yes, the rice portion of our pie is done. And what we are going to do is carefully remove him from the pastry.
Wow.
And give him a little side. Now you can see he's starting to brown, he's starting to cook down. So we're going to stick this back into the oven for another 10 to 15 minutes to finish cooking.
So we did our first custard already,
right.
And we have another one to do now. What is this one about?
Right. This is our vanilla pastry cream. It is basically the layer of joy in your fruit tart. So what we're going to do is we're going to put the milk on the stove to boil while that is coming to temperature.
All of it?
Yes, 2 cups. What we're going to do is we're going to add our cornstarch to our sugar. The reason we add it to the sugar, you don't have to, but it makes sense because when you put the cornstarch in there, it made a lump. So when you mix it with the sugar, it helps to break up the lumps, make your life a little bit easier. So we're going to whisk these in. You break up your yolks and you slowly add your sugar and you whisk. Now it's important for you not to turn away from this because the sugar will burn your yolks. And it doesn't burn like crispy toast, but what it does is that your yolk gets hard. So you're going to whisk until it starts to get light in color. Alright, so this is good. You can now turn your back on it for a minute. Right, now to add flavor, we could add a pinch of salt to your milk. So now that the milk is simmering, we will add it to our eggs. Now, just like the sugar, we do not want this to cook. So what we're doing here is called tempering the eggs, right? Because you don't want it to shock and cook, make scrambled egg. Whisk, whisk, whisk. And that will slowly and gradually bring our eggs up to temperature so they won't be shocked. Going onto the stove now.
Don't make no mess up.
Yeah. And this is going to be on a low heat. Now that we are thickened, we turn off the stove.
Yeah.
And then we're going to add a tablespoon of our marigold and a little bit of vanilla. Now we add this at the end because if you add it in at the beginning, it tends to lose a little bit of the flavor. Yes, you'll have the vanilla there, but if you want to preserve that flavor, you add it at the end when there's not too much heat.
Nice.
As this cools, it will get thicker. Once our margarine is melted and combined properly as well as with the vanilla, we're going to throw this into a bowl to cool in the fridge.
All right, and while you do that, I just want to remind everybody to head on over to our Facebook and Instagram pages, CGA Caribbean. Check out everything that's happening with the cook-up and check out some of our favorite brands that we have as well too. We have a host of products that you really want to check out for not just you, maybe your friends, maybe your family, even the children, all right? So CGA Caribbean, Facebook, Instagram, check out the cook-up and much more, right?
Now before we put this in the fridge, you want to put a piece of cling wrap on top and you want it to touch the pastry.
Why? Why are we touching the pastry?
Because if we want it to cool, when it cools, it will form a skin on the top, which is similar to when the eggs cook. Well, gross, it doesn't bad texture, everything. So you let it cool with something touching the top.
Nice, so it's filling time.
Right.
It is filling time. What a process this has been.
Everything is cool. Filling is cool, custard is cool, quiche is cool, well, shell is cool. It's important for everything to be at the same temperature. If we try to add something hot to something cold, it will start to sweat, it'll be soggy. So what we're going to do is we're going to add our filling to our shell. Now you can put as much or as little as you want. We're just going to add this to here.
Is there a particular way you pour this on? It just like plop.
You kind of go around. Try not to get everything in one spot because it will flow eventually. But so the most important thing is while you're pouring, you watch the sides to make sure it's not overflowing.
Okay.
So you may or may not use oil.
I've seen some coming in here.
So you may or may not use oil. And also remember, we have the grated cheese in there, so we want to make sure we get cheese on everything.
Okay.
Kind of push your veggies in, make sure everybody is moistened. And then just to complete, we're going to sprinkle with the reserved cheese.
Yeah. All right.
Now what we don't want to do is overdo the dough. So you're going to put enough cheese to cover, but not too much for it to be encased because you don't want it to be a greasy mess.
So that's good. That's like good, right?
You're about on point there. What we're going to do is, because the pastry is a little bit darker than I would like, and we're going to put this back into the oven. We're going to tent it.
Tent it.
Tent it. So you take a piece of foil. So you're going to take the foil, go around the side, and then you're just going to come over the edge like a tent to protect it from the heat of the oven. So this tenting will prevent your pastry on the side from getting any darker while the center still cooks. So if your pastry was a little bit lighter in color, you wouldn't need this extra step. But just in case, if you're like me, you forgot it or something like that, not a scene, don't panic. You'll be alright if you tempt it. So we're going into the oven. It'll be going in at 375 for approximately 25 to 30 minutes. You check it. If you see it puffed up, you know you're good. If not, leave it a little bit longer.
Let's do it.
Nice. We are in.
And folks, don't forget, check us out online, CGA Caribbean on Facebook and Instagram. Check out the cook-up, check out our products, check out some of our recipes, and make some for yourself. Why not? Fruit tart time. What are we doing now? What are we doing now?
All right, so similar to the quiche, the pastry is cooled. Everything is cooled. Toppings can be changed. They can be varied as you please.
Nice.
So we had strawberries and grapes. You can use mangoes, pineapples, anything of that nature. If you're using oranges, I would suggest segmenting your orange, not using it with the skin or anything like that on it. This is our pastry. You can see how nice and thick it has gotten, a little bit thicker. As it goes in here, we put it back in the fridge to set a little bit longer. It will continue to thicken a little bit. So we're going to put that into our tart shell. Now we do not want to overfill this for the simple reason that once we start putting fruit on top, it's going to start coming up the sides.
But you can actually smell that vanilla in there, you know, the vanilla just jumping out at you now.
And then you arrange your fruit as you would like. So you have your plate there, you could start chucking.
Okay.
You can stick with that. So here you have your fruit tart. So when you're finished dressing up your fruit tart, we glaze. Now people use apricot jelly or apricot jam, but we are West Indian, so we have pineapple jam. What we did, we just heated it in the microwave till it got to a runny consistency.
Okay.
And then we pass it through a strainer so we wouldn't have the actual pineapple pieces. If you have a person with allergies, you can use guava or any other type of jam basically, but you will get the color of the jam. This one, because it's a lighter color, it won't affect it as much. What this does, it seals the cut side of the fruit. So if it goes into the fridge or anything like that, it's not going to dry out and look sad. So this helps it to maintain color as well as it adds flavor. Right, so we're going to stick him in the fridge just to set up and get firm, and then ready to have a party.
All right. So it's just about time to take that quiche out of the oven. Let's do it. Come on. Ooh la la. Wow. Wow. So folks, we're just wrapping another fantastic edition of the Cook Up, all courtesy CGA Caribbean. Make sure to follow them on Instagram and Facebook. It's a pleasure working with my good friend and former classmate, Kathryn and Landa, celebrity pastry chef. That's the best way to put it. She's traveled all over the world doing this thing. Hello, trust me. And it's such an honor and a privilege to work with you here today. We made some fantastic items. Thank you so much for being a part of our program here today, guys. And of course, go check out your favorite supermarket. Get your Marigold, get your prize. It's fantastic for all your baking efforts. Anything else you want to share, like your Instagram page? How do we get in contact with you? Because we know you do catering, and I'm going to be eating a pie in the meantime. Hello.
On Instagram, I'm Kathryn Landa, but all I want you all to do is take what you see here and just fly with it, run with it. You have so many things you can do with this pastry. Enjoy.